So this is the story of an impact, this particular impact. I was working as a mechanic, and through the years I never really had a good impact gun. So I just got in the habit of using a breaker bar because I'm cheap, and some people finance tools and do that route. I didn't, and whatever. So I lived with it, and actually the last shop I worked at, I actually was in a point where I had to break down and get a new one. And so off of one of the top 3 box trucks this thing came, if that makes sense. The guys that drive the trucks around, blah blah blah, to the shop. So this is one of the top 3. This is one of the better ones you can get, or brands you can get. And of the brand, this is, without naming it, probably, I don't know, it's not the best, but it's definitely not the worst. It's got the high torque rating. If you're familiar with running impacts, these ones have a different sound than the old ones. They're more of a, they really go. So right out of the box, I used it twice and it worked awesome. Third time it missed a beat. I don't know what the hell it was. I flipped it back and forth on the speeds and fucked around, and like it went and then it didn't. It would go and then it wouldn't, and then it wouldn't, and mess around unplugging it, and then it finally went. So I thought, well, that's messed up. Put some lube in it. Actually quit working as a mechanic, switched jobs, and in the toolbox it sat until I needed to do a repair with it at home, and same thing happened. And then again, and then it just wouldn't really work right, and you're tapping it with a hammer and swearing at it a little bit, and then it would go. Finally it just quit working, and it has like no use at all on it. It still looks new. Anyway, what ended up happening is this quit. So if you look, this part here is metal, but it doesn't do much. It houses the snout of the output shaft where the hammers are. Here is all plastic, the whole thing, the handle, everything, to the core, plastic. These things, plastic. So what do? Warranty on this thing's 90 days, which, like, that's awesome. And so you're at the point where you got to pay to repair it, and it never did work right. And anyway, I took it apart. I took the screws out of here and had a look at it. And even if I fix it, I don't want it. I don't want to keep having this problem like Groundhog Day of, look it. That's the only, it didn't even need dirty. I put a ding in it because I finally got mad and tossed it. Anyway, so enter solution over here. This is a brand of impact I didn't even know existed. My wife found it. Yeah, because I was mad and I went on a rant. And I went to high hell about all this plastic stuff, and it's no good. So this she found. She found this company, and we sat down and went through it. And all the videos I seen online and whatever they had, videos or links to whatever they were selling, they're pushing that kind of stuff. They're pushing their newer models, maybe newer style models, like the high torque, plasticky stuff. But for people who are familiar with impacts, this is a traditional old design. This is about as cheap of an impact as they make, but it's about the best thing I've bought. It's pretty damn good. So we'll go through the other one here, but like this is, I mean, you should remember this. I worked in a lot of shops, started off doing tires, and we used like a tire mechanic shops. If they supply the impacts, this is the style you pretty much got. I don't know about nowadays, but yeah, like 30, -30, -40 below Canadian temperature, you know, this thing works. +40 Canadian temperature, +30, this thing works. Outdoor, indoor, sheet. This design is superior, and we'll see why in a minute. Mostly because it's metal. Mostly because it's a proven design. You're not reinventing stuff. So let's take a look at this one. Yeah. I already took screws and stuff out, like took planning. So, stick that over here. There we are. So we take it apart, we see it is a metal hammers. And they do kind of index off of the middle screws. And when they tighten, it keeps it from... But there's no dowels or... The main thing holding this is a plastic harness. Now if you look here, you see these? That's for your direction. If you look here, inside of this plastic wimpy mess, okay, that's not very strong. You know, maybe I'm hard on stuff, but... Now these, like I said, plastic here. When you push these, look, it turns this. That diverts the air. See the smiley mouth? Left, right, left, right. See these slots? Left, right, left, right. This is the problem. There's a major air leak between that and the trigger. And if you look, the trigger is plastic. Riding on plastic. Relying on a micro machine. Well, it's focusing. Remember micro machines? Tiny little, where is it here? O-ring. You can look in that groove, it'll settle out in a minute here. Is it going to settle out? I'll just say to hell with you. Alright, but up in here, micro machine seal. Micro. You can see it bouncing around. This is super close to the camera. Like, look how big it is to my hand. Okay? I have dainty little hands. So this, plastic junk. This, plastic junk. Between here and here, major air leak. To the point where it, look, it wouldn't function anymore. Whoops. Look at, okay, fine, it popped out. Maybe it popped out for a reason. Look, and that's it. Like, why would you pay to fix this? Had I known this, I wouldn't have done this in the first place, but I was in a pickle. So the story with this is the actual dealer that gave it to me is a really good dude. The company he works for, I would say not so much, but maybe this is how they all do it. Whatever. If this is how they do it, they're charging too much money for their impacts. Hooked me up with the impact. Was really good on the payments, because this is another thing starting mechanics struggle with, is if you're not living with mom and dad and you're out paying rent and you're trying to start an apprenticeship doing this, supplying your own tools, financing them or making the payments, or you know, doing it payment installments on the truck guy, which was what this was. Got the impact, had it almost paid off, and then boom, out of that shop and into something else. Unexpected. The guy actually helped me load my toolbox with the lift gate of his thing, because me and the employer were not on particularly good terms at this point. And he explained then, you don't owe me nothing for the impact. Now I felt bad, and felt bad about it for a very long time. And then I found this, so now, like, you know, I feel bad for the dude having to sell this kind of shit, because he should be selling this. Now, this here, metal. So simply, there's the company, model, part numbers on the top right, and if we look in here, we see part numbers. Well, not part numbers, but see exploded parts diagrams with numbers corresponding to part numbers corresponding to description, just like shit should be. All metal, all O-rings, Allen key screws. So yeah, that's it. And if you don't want to fix it yourself, they have a warranty of 2 years where they'll fix or replace at their discretion, blah 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 blah. But as far as it says, this is the company. That's their information right there. Make a good product for a cheap. Of the impacts of the style that I run, this is super tight, and not a fan of a super high torque rating. Seems to break a lot of bolts. This is nice, smooth torque. I don't know what it's rated at. I looked at it once. It was whatever, lower than the high-end ones are trying to sell you, but I don't think the plastic construction can hold up to the shit. It's like a weak clutch in a race car or a truck pull or something. But yeah, this is it, man. That's the answer. If I was a young tradesperson starting out, or for a guy like me, do-it-yourself guy who's got to pay stuff cash and can only afford, if you can't afford to keep buying your way out of a problem and you need a cheap, solid solution, this is it. Like, I probably won't need another one. Knock on wood. Like, this is probably it for. I've got the half-inch impact situation covered. Finally, took years. So, good product. It works. All right. Thanks.